When I load up the arcade version of Final Fight, I'm always reminded why this game became such a cornerstone of the beat-em-up genre. But this time, instead of just playing it casually, I wanted to really break it down, study it, examine it, and look at it through the lens of someone who's spent years with modern action games. And the big question I wanted to answer is simple. Does Final Fight actually hold up today? Not just as a nostalgic memory, but as a game you can legitimately enjoy, appreciate, and revisit with fresh eyes. As soon as the intro kicks in, Metro City feels alive. Crime-ridden streets, the Mad Gear Gang taking over, the dramatic kidnapping of Jessica. It's a simple setup, but it's delivered with a confidence that still works. There's something timeless about a straightforward rescue mission fueled by sheer determination. And the idea of a professional wrestler turned mayor personally stepping into the streets to clean up the city has this perfect mix of grit and absurdity that only arcade games can pull off. Jumping into the game, the first thing I always notice is how Final Fight feels heavier and more grounded than many other beat-em-ups of its era. Movement has weight, punches connect with deliberate force. You can feel the impact of Hagar's grabs and piledrivers in a way that still hits hard today. That sense of weight is part of what makes the game enjoyable in a modern context. Too many early beat-em-ups feel floaty or slippery, but Final Fight has a physicality to it that keeps it satisfying. Character selection is still a high point. Hagar, Cody, and Guy give you 3 distinct ways to approach the game. Hagar's grappling is legendary, not just visually impressive, but mechanically satisfying. His throws allow you to control crowds and reposition enemies with ease. Cody feels like the perfectly balanced protagonist, with reliable punches, good reach, and a clean combo structure. And Guy brings speed, mobility, and a more technical playstyle that rewards aggressive positioning. Even today, switching between these 3 changes the entire flow of combat. As I push through the early levels, I'm reminded of how strong the enemy design still is. Each enemy has a behavior pattern, a tempo, and a specific spacing you need to respect. The knife wielders are quick and unpredictable. The larger brawlers challenge your movement and force you to time your attacks. The fire-breathing enemies create zoning pressure, and the fast-moving punks love to jump in from off-screen and punish carelessness. It's surprising how readable these enemies are even now. Their animations communicate intentions clearly, and that's a big part of why the game still feels fair, despite its reputation for difficulty. That difficulty, though, is a real part of the experience. Final Fight is an arcade game first, and you can absolutely feel its quarter-eating design. Enemies swarm you. Certain combinations are designed to corner you. Some boss attacks come out faster than you'd expect. But what's fascinating is how manageable the game becomes once you understand its rhythm. It's all about spacing, controlling diagonals, and knowing when to grab versus when to strike. In a modern context, it feels less cheap than it used to, not because the game changed, but because players today have a better understanding of beat-em-up fundamentals, thanks to decades of genre evolution. The level environments also hold up extremely well. Metro City isn't just a backdrop, it's a character. From the graffiti-covered slums to the neon-soaked entertainment district, the subway ride, the industrial factories, the gladiator-style wrestling ring, and the skyscraper penthouse, it feels like a journey through a city teetering on the edge of collapse. The transitions between stages are smooth and meaningful, giving the entire game a sense of escalation. And then there's the soundtrack. The music still delivers that energetic arcade vibe. Each track pushes the tempo of the action, lifting the intensity without overpowering the gameplay. The sound effects are clean and sharp. Punches have that classic CPS crunch. Enemy cries and weapon impacts are instantly recognizable. Even the ambient stage sounds help maintain immersion. The audio package is incredibly cohesive, and even after all this time, it still works. As the game progresses, the pacing becomes more apparent. One of Final Fight's biggest strengths is how it never lets the action drag. Every few steps, enemies appear. Every encounter matters. The game doesn't pad itself with unnecessary filler. And even though you can complete it in under an hour, the constant tension makes it feel full and complete. That pacing is one of the reasons Final Fight still gets so much replay value. It's the kind of game you can finish and immediately feel ready to run again with a different character.
What stands out from a modern viewpoint is how clean the combat system is. You don't have long combo strings, skill trees, or dozens of unlockable moves, but what you do have is clarity. The tools you're given matter, and the game challenges you to use them well. Throws, spacing, crowd control, awareness, these fundamentals never age. In fact, they make Final Fight feel like a blueprint for the entire genre. Boss fights are a mix of iconic and ruthless. Sodom with the dual katanas, the massive Abigail charging across the screen, the rooftop showdown with Belger, they're memorable not just because of their designs, but because each one teaches you a different lesson. They punish impatience, reward timing, and demand awareness. Some attacks are cheap, yes, but most bosses telegraph their moves well enough that you can beat them cleanly once you understand their patterns. What impressed me most during this revisit is how cohesive the entire experience remains. Every system, every enemy, every encounter feels part of a unified design. It's a gritty, chaotic, stylish, and straightforward vision. It wants you to fight your way through Metro City with determination, and it never loses focus. From a modern viewpoint, the most surprising thing is how playable Final Fight still is. So many arcade beat-em-ups from this era feel clunky or repetitive today, but Final Fight, it's still sharp, still fun, still challenging in all the right ways. If it came out today as an indie retro-style beat-em-up, people would praise its pacing, its clarity, and its identity. The only thing that limits it today is the absence of modern features like online co-op, save states, difficulty options, or expanded modes. With a remaster that preserved the core gameplay while modernizing the convenience features, this game could easily have a second life. But even without that, the arcade version stands strong. After spending time analyzing it, replaying it carefully, and comparing it to modern beat-em-ups, the conclusion feels clear. Yes, the arcade version of Final Fight absolutely holds up, not just as a nostalgic throwback, but as a genuinely well-designed action game that remains enjoyable and challenging today. Its combat fundamentals are timeless, its casing is still nearly perfect, and its world, characters, and style still make it one of the most memorable beat-em-ups ever made. If you're someone who loves the genre or wants to understand where its most influential ideas came from, Final Fight is still required playing. And if it's been a long time since you last knocked your way through Metro City, give it another run. You'll be surprised at how well it still delivers. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more long-form breakdowns of classic arcade games and console games, make sure to stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.